Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Oh no.
Right now, I think it's set. We actually hear what's playing. So that's a big problem.
Well, I can barely hear you. You're very quiet and a little bit intermittent.
That's strange. You should be
How?
hearing me through my microphone, my desktop microphone. That's perfect.
Yeah, you're a little quiet though. Zeke, what do you think?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, now you're streaming on Twitch. Okay. And what's important is Twitch. So.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we should all sit in the conference room so that we don't have the noise from the fountain.
Oh, that might be a good idea.
Or in the garden age.
The one up, like, similar to where you meet in Creel for the All Guilds meeting. Up there. Away from the water fountain.
Oh, you're talking about in the meeting.
That end right there, and then
Yeah.
up there.
Well, if we're not in Cavern tours, so people might not find us as easily.
That's the draw.
Yeah, because like when they look at the Nexus, you know, they'll see the population in the Cavern tours, Cavern, and they'll know we're here. I don't want to, overanalyze anything, but since you're just lecturing, maybe. What do you think, Larry? Where do you want to go?
May as well. It's not going to hurt anything. You can catch people.
Okay,
Let them know that
conference room or
yeah.
okay. Oh, for the upstairs auditorium.
Which I think is probably community is what it is.
Yeah, community room. Yeah. Conference room would be smaller.
You said conference room. I thought you were talking about
Oh, okay. So either the community room or the classroom, but the classroom could be a little claustrophobic after a while. Yeah. Hi, Murphac. I'm a little surprised you're here because we're not going anywhere, but of course we want you here.
Well, I kind of emailed everybody. Anyways.
Yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello, Susanna.
Hello. Oh, good. And that way, also, Larry, you can look at your notes because you have a podium. So.
Angel Biz said something about not being able to hear me. Is that still true?
You're so quiet, even through Skype, which Skype would be the absolute clearest. Let's.
I just
How
tried-
many?
I just tried turning up my microphone volume a little bit.
Yeah, it helps. It helps. Yes. I lost the bit of chat where she was talking about noise. She talked about being claustrophobic, but.
Eh. Kind of funny. You look like you're ready to do the all guilds meeting. It's not till next week.
All he needs is a gavel. Yeah, but we're underground though. You have aquaphobia, seriously? Or aquaphobia or agoraphobia?
Acrophobia, fear of heights. And
Oh, agoraphobia is fear of, going out. Okay,
spaces. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I get. There are definitely places where it here in Gurley, I'm used to most certain locations now.
Mm-hmm.
But it used to be like climbing up the ladder in Hades Kalesa. Used to hit me hard.
Really?
Yeah, or else, or walking down the corridor to the vault chamber.
Uh-huh.
The edge there used to get me big time.
Well, and what about
Oh,
walking
yeah.
across that branch to the vault?
Yeah. Mhm.
Nowadays, I can more or less do that at a normal walking pace, but when I first started, the first few times I did that, I took it literally one step at a time.
Yeah.
Just a little mouse tap, a little cursor tap.
And mine was like I would put the caps on it and run, but I'd always fall. And that's still nerve-wracking. Just
Yeah.
now imagine doing that in VR, walking across that thing.
Yep.
I was just looking for the settings to turn up my microphone volume.
Now I hear music.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Do you hear like squeaking or screeching or music, Zeke, when he turns up his mic? I hear it.
I heard it, yeah.
I think it's ironic that a computer technician would have so many problems with his equipment. Yeah, they're saying they're having trouble hearing you.
Should be getting better.
Well, one thing is they're pointing out the music's still playing, which I don't hear because I have to mute you in Twitch because I can hear you in Skype.
Yeah, otherwise we'll have
So,
double echo.
hello.
Should not be a lot better. I was actually wrong.
You're in the wrong what? Oh! Oh my goodness, okay.
I had a feeling it was like a Twitch or mic switch somehow.
I just turned it down the music down a little bit more. For okay. I don't know how the people are hearing, because the volume for Skype and the volume for the desktop are two different things.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
That's okay.
I have to
Yeah,
have
okay.
separate sound settings because
Okay.
my desktop microphone has separate settings in Skype than it does from the desktop.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm sure that both are working, which is one of the reasons why I have problems when I change devices.
Well, I'm getting coffee so I can stay conscious. Just to let you all know, Arte's not going to be with us here today for the tour because he's traveling for the holidays. Speaking of holidays, are we all still in agreement that we will be skipping next month's tour because it's so close to Christmas?
That's what we're expecting. So,
Is my audio too loud, Creek Rider?
they're saying it's louder than mine. If I just try to closer.
Did you try adjusting the slider? Haha, that never gets old.
I keep trying to adjust my volume, but my various methods so far don't say I quite understand why it's so quiet. This is one of the mysteries right now. Microphone volume in the system is set up.
Well, it's too bad you can't wear a headset, because you have to wear that pith helmet, of course.
Well, I could take it off, but it's kind of traditional at this point. That, and also I got it's kind of a pain showing off my receding hairline.
But you make up for it with your ponytail.
Actually, I had my hair cut a little while ago, so it's short now.
Oh no. Okay.
See.
looks nice. Looks very nice, actually.
And because my new headphones weren't working out so that as well as I had hoped, right now I am using a pair of earphones or headset.
Oh, okay. Must be thinner than mine. I wouldn't be able to fit a hat over mine.
Oh no, it's I have it wrapped around the back of my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like the Borg or something.
Say if I turn my head sideways, you should be able to see it.
Oh, wow. I don't know how they stay on.
They're just tight enough to where I can do that.
What you won't do for us, Larry. Thank you.
Okay, I just turned off the music, so how's my voice now? Actually, I did that. I moved it several inches towards the front of my desk. Still can't hear me? This is bizarre. Okay, let's see. I turned up the microphone all the way in the system. I turned up the microphone physically.
There we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I can hear you. It doesn't sound low.
Uh, you're hearing me through Skype. That's a different thing. So that's it. So I,
They're saying it's still low.
yeah,
I need to listen to Twitch.
right. That's what.
Uh,
That's where we're having the problems.
okay, so let me do that.
I've got my microphone volume turned up to 100%. I've maxed out what the physical knob on the microphone will do for volume. So I honestly have no idea what the problem is.
Yeah, I agree. Through Skype you're okay, but through Twitch,
Yeah, and we don't want you to have your sound turned up very loud on the receiving end because I'm going to be playing some recordings from the game, and those things will blow your ears out if you have your mic volume up high. Um,
Mm, yeah, I can see what they're saying.
uh, Angel Mist, the reason we're why we have Skype is so that we can do the conference call between the rest of those of us on the staff. And this is wonder. I'm gonna try a little experiment here and switch my microphone over to my camera. Let's see. Headset input. Okay, I should have just switched over to my camera mic. How's that sound?
You're louder in
No,
Skype, but I didn't listen to Twitch.
I did.
Remember,
It's still low, even
yeah.
at the highest volume on Twitch.
Skype is you have to remember is still is separate, so it's still picking up my desktop mic. It's the 1, 2, 3. Volume is 100%. So let's see.
Hmm.
Master volume.
I
Test
mean,
okay.
you,
That looks like it's louder on my sound settings. Is it? How's it working out?
no. I just listened to it. It's not. You could always do the old-fashioned way, Larry, holding down the tab key.
That sounds
If
awful.
I know, but I mean, at least it's
Also, it
something
would
in case.
yeah. The other thing is that anyone who may be tuned in just through the stream would not
Yeah,
hear anything.
that's true.
But my sound.
Most people's the Cavern Twitch back and forth. So,
That's strange because I've switched over to my camera mic, and it's showing the soundbar on my system settings. It's showing the thing practically maxing out.
how would your Twitch be low?
Twitch is just going to pick up whatever's coming through. Oh, wait a minute. I completely forgot. Let's see. Desktop microphone. Okay, I just, how's that sounding right now? Nothing?
No, still the same.
Could it be a driver issue?
No, basically I've got volume meters, both on my system settings, and I have them in the program OBS, the broadcasting software. And I've got the sound maxed out in OBS. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How much you want to bet? I did not set. Okay. Let's see. How's that sound?
Yay!
Okay.
He needed a new hamster.
No, I forgot there was yet another place that I had to set my microphone up, and that was with the broadcast software. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Yay.
Okay.
We're
Okay. So can everyone hear?
Minnesunda,
Larry,
we are
okay.
up in the conference room.
well.
The community room.
Or the community room. Yeah.
You caught my virus.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. That's what happens when you've got about 4 different volume controls to worry about all at once.
Just try speaking to all 4 at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I knew that microphone shouldn't have been quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Zeke, do you want to do the honors for the intro or?
Yep. I'll go ahead. Thank you everyone for coming to the Cavern Tours. Today I can't do my normal intro, but I'll just do it normal. we will be discovering the ages. If you don't have Mirrorbot, be sure to friend him. Well, he'll be used when we explore the ages. Um,
Just not today.
also, not today, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just doing it like normal, so in
Mhm.
case people are new, that they can have that done. Right now we will. Susan, can you do this? I'm drawing a blank.
No worries. Yeah, normally we do need to. I mean, you do need to buddy Mirabot when we do our tours normally, or they're walking tours, and we go to his ages. That way, he can change the settings in his ages for us. Today, we'll be conducting the entire tour through Twitch. Thank you all for coming. And just an announcement to repeat something that we are not going to be, our tours are normally held the fourth Saturday of each month at 11 key time. Next month, we will not be conducting our tour in December because of the Christmas holidays. We will resume our tour then, hopefully, knock on wood, in January. I'm going to look up what the date will be real quick. Well, I'll look up the date and then Larry can start and then I'll announce the date in chat. How does that sound?
Whichever.
Okay,
Say.
so if
Strangely
you're
enough, even with all that problems, we're only 6 minutes behind at the moment.
yes. So without further ado, Larry,
Okay.
I'll type in chat, text chat, make sure everyone's in Twitch. In the meantime, just go ahead and start.
Now, the thing this is going to be a static tour, meaning that we're not actually going anywhere. So you'll want to pay more attention to the stream window and not the game window, except for the chat. And then, let's see. First off, the subject of today's Cavern Tour special is Yisha. We're going to be talking about her history, personality, and all that other good stuff. And I'll be showing static pictures in the stream window when the time comes. Okay, starting off, Yisha was born in Tomana in the year 1815 and were raised there by her parents, Atris and Catherine. Her name is the Dini word for laughter, although the name also exists in the surface world as well. On the surface, Yisha is a girl's name of Arabic origin and means alive and well. It's an alternate form of Lisha, which is also a form of Aisha. Yisha mostly grew up with just her parents around for company. She only knew about her grandmother Anna through tales and pictures, since Anna died before she was born. And let's see, Here we go. Okay. Looking at the stream window, shortly you'll see a picture of Catherine and Yisha as a baby. This is a photograph that Atris had on his office desk in Tomana. During that same period, this is a picture of the two of them together. This was not very long before Savidro stole the Book of Relishan. Savidro was a man from an age called Narayan, and he had been a tutor
for Cirrus and Achenar, and was trapped away from home when they destroyed a number of ages written by Atris. Saavedro thought that the boys had had destroyed his home and wanted revenge, thinking that he had not only killed all his family, but also his wife and daughter. In AD 1823, at the age of 8, Yesha first visited Serenia with her parents. Yesha developed a close relationship with the protectors of Serenia and was trained in their customs and how to enter a spiritual realm called Dream. She was able to attain a spirit guide, having been tested and shown to be a child of water by their methods. That was one of 3 metaphysical paths that were able to enter the dream. The other paths were fire and air. In a ceremony, she was presented with a protector's amulet, which could show its wearer images and sounds from an object's past. This is a paranormal phenomenon called psychometry or psychoscopy. It was in Serenia that Yesha was introduced to journey cloths, an idea that she would make frequent use of later. Serenian journey cloths are a special type of cloth that detects one's elemental nature and which spirit guide someone is best suited for. Also in AD 1823, Atris and Catherine took Yesha on trips to visit her brothers in their prison ages, Spire and Haven, and she became friends with them. Cirrus had been introduced to Yesha a year earlier. Atris admitted to the stranger that the books he destroyed on Myst Island were merely linking books. He couldn't bring himself to destroy the descriptive books, too. The next year, 1824, is when Cirrus escaped from Spire and freed Achenar. They decided to continue a plot they'd begun decades before and kidnapped Yesha. Yesha was taken to Serenia, where Cirrus trapped her mind in the dream. He then attempted to transfer his mind to her body using an old memory chamber, which was a place where the Serenians would go to enter the dream. His plan was to fool their father into teaching them the art of writing, or teaching him the art of writing, I should say, after which Atris would be killed. The plan was foiled by the stranger and Achenar, who had changed drastically while imprisoned in Haven, and who truly liked his little sister and was horrified when he learned that Cirrus had decided to harm her. And let me see, while we're talking about that time period, here we go. I'll put up a picture of what Yesha looked like at that age. At Achenar's urging, the stranger began the process to restore everyone's proper memories. However, Yesha's consciousness was still trapped in dream, and the stranger had to enter that realm to finally free her from Cirrus' control. Yesha was returned to her body and was saved, but it was at the cost of Achenar's life. Her oldest brother, whom she had grown very close to, sacrificed himself to delay the failure of the memory chamber Cirrus was using to take her body. This was the first of at least 2 traumatic events in her life. Cirrus attacked her mind in dream to keep her disconnected from her body, and both he and her eldest brother Achenar died during the incident. Yesha was never the same afterward. There's another picture of her at the during the events on Serenia. In 1832, when Yisha was 17 years old, she left Tomana on a journey of self-discovery, still disturbed by her ordeal in Serenia. Excuse me a second. My computer has that I'm reading my notes off of has decided that it needs to restart. So I need to tell it to bugger off. Okay. She wandered around North America for a time before finally returning to New Mexico and settling in the Cleft. While there, she traded with the local American Indian tribes for food and other necessities, as her grandmother Anna had before her. Eventually, she followed the footsteps of Anna again and Atris down into the caverns of Denis by way of the Great Shaft. She spent a fair amount of time in the shaft over the next few years, and later left notebooks containing entries from her personal journal in the shaft as clues for Richard Watson. When Yisha arrived in Denis, she found it deserted. Most of the Denis survivors had moved to Relishan before she was born. She mentions in her 8th journal that her only companions at the time were 2 animals, a cinnabar and a treadfish. She drew sketches of them while she was there. I should be able... Let's see, where do I hide those sketches?
And the reason she settled in the cleft because that's where she had been raised, correct?
No, she was raised in the Tomana, which is a number of miles away. Was a number of miles away from the cleft.
But she didn't choose the cleft herself, though. Didn't her family choose it for her?
No, when she she wasn't prepared to go back and live with her family after she finished her journey, and so she just settled nearby. That's why when you go in the cleft today, you find a note from Atris sitting on her bed.
Interesting. I always assumed just because that's where he had raised her part of her life. And I know that her grandmother, Tiana, loved those blue flowers that were at the cleft too, right?
Correct.
Okay, sorry to get distracted, but
Yeah.
I have questions
Anyway.
too.
Yep. Anyway, this I've got a sketch of a cinnabar up on the stream at the moment. Cinnamar were a animal from a different age. I don't know which one off the top of my head, but they were quite popular among the Denis as pets, and so a few did wind up going wild. A treadfish is an animal from Earth, although the ones down in the cavern are much larger than the ones that you normally find. Say, and this is a sketch of the face of the one that that Yisha basically adopted as a pet, along with the cinnabar.
It looks like the eyeball from Riven.
And let's see. I want to go back to this picture for a moment. While exploring Agara Island, one day when she was in the Great Library, she was surprised when she spotted an old man on the floor beneath her. At first she thought she was delusional, but the man turned out to be real. His name was Callum, a Denis master from the Guild of Writers, who had returned to the cavern when Atris had gathered up the survivors of the fall. He had remained behind to conduct research when the other Denis left for Relishon. Both were very lonely and soon became friends. Callum picked up teaching her the art from where Atris had left off, and that was a windfall for Yisha. Callum was a trained master of the art, whereas Atris and Catherine had learned the basics from Gin, who was really bad at it, and refined their techniques by trial and error. At first, Callum was angered and frustrated by the novel and heretical approach to writing Yisha had learned from her parents, and they argued frequently. However, he began to see value in her style, and she inspired him to look beyond the ancient and strict rules of writing that had been handed down in the guild from Gardner. By that time, Yisha had read the words of the Watcher and knew of the prophecies of the Grower. When she began learning from Callum, she was astounded by his talent and the skill he possessed. She wrote in her journal that his abilities were breathtaking to her, as he had mastered the thousands of years of Denis development of the art. Over time, she began to believe that he might be the grower she'd read about in words. However, as they began to learn from each other rather than just she from him, he eventually told her that he thought she was the grower. Her apprenticeship came to an abrupt end when another Denis writer found out what they were doing. He'd apparently had come back for some reason from Relishon and stumbled across them. And what they were doing seems to have caused him to begin screaming abuse at Yisha for her ideas. Callum attempted to protect her and was murdered for it. This triggered a battle between Yisha and the Denis man. The true nature of the fight is unknown, but it ended when she managed to defeat him. The baroglyph of that incident suggests that she trapped him in a prison age. She wrote in her journal that she had destroyed him. It's possible that she burned the descriptive book for the prison age, and she meant it in a figurative rather than literal sense. The death of Callum was the second major traumatic event of her life, and left her with a deep sense of guilt that she never escaped. She apparently believed that she was the reason why Callum died. This event may have also caused her to lose more of her sanity, which she hinted at in later notes and speeches. However, if insane she was, it was never raving lunacy. She always behaved rationally. Her mental problems were more subtle than that. After the death of Callum, she became disenchanted with Denis culture. Whereas she'd been reasonably objective about the Denis before Callum's death, afterward she began to hate everything Denis and slanted the information she planted in the ages about Denis society. She made it sound as if the Denis had been entirely corrupt and evil. She took a number of true stories, presented them out of context, and implied that they represented the common Denis way of life, rather than the normal occasional flaws that can be found in any civilization. If you examine her words closely, it's easy to see that she was largely projecting her own perceived faults onto the Denis. There are several theories as to whom the Denis murderer might have been, and he's often referred to as Evil Book, because the Barrow drew a large linking book symbol over his head and used red colors in his depiction. One idea is that he may have been Guildmaster Kadish. Yisha's notes mention that she quote-unquote saved his life by somehow traveling into the past and rescuing him from his vault before he died. The theory has it that she brought him forward to the time of her training, and he was the one who killed Callum. I don't subscribe to that theory myself because I see a major flaw in it. Yisha mentions in her 9th journal that her training in the Barrow art, which was what permitted time travel, came after Callum was dead. So it doesn't make any sense to me that she would have mastered Barrow linking and then brought Kadish forward to her own past just so he could murder her mentor, knowing full well that he would have been the one who did it. In any case, it was during her time with Callum that Yisha discovered the Barrow and about the sacred tablet that bound them. Barrow seemed to have been watching her for some time, and after Callum died, they contacted her and offered comfort and assistance as she grieved. During this period, she began to learn their methods, which allowed her to gain new abilities by means of the Barrow art. As she learned, her skill grew far beyond what the Denis or her parents could do. If she can truly be said to have lost her sanity, then it began showing during that time in her life as a form of monomania. Yisha took freeing the Barrow from their servitude to Denis as her new and only purpose in life. Something that should be mentioned is that the bondage of the Barrow is a topic about which we have very little information. Virtually everything we know about it comes from Yisha. The only hint of it in the DRC notebooks is found in one about Denis' social classes, where a class so low that it was considered less than even the poorest existed. The passage in the notebook reads, quote-unquote, sublow, reference to the least, an undefined subclass, are found on rare occasions, not enough data to elucidate. Whether or not that refers to the Barrow or to an untouchable class of Denis citizens is never mentioned, and no other notebook speaks of them. None of the notebooks mention the Barrow at all. As far as can be told from the records, the majority of Denis had no idea that the Barrow existed. One thing that is said in the records is that slavery was illegal in Denis, and when discovered was punished severely. Thus, the nature of Barrow bondage is uncertain. How were they bound? Why were they bound? And who they obeyed is all a mystery. What is certain is that Yisha's claims that they were imprisoned, hunted, and used to make Denis life pleasant and to entertain them has absolutely no evidence to back it up. We only have her word for it. By the way, I did speak with Dr. Watson about this subject, and he confirmed that as far as the vast majority of the Denis knew, the Barrow did not exist. After learning from the Barrow, Yisha believed that she was ready to take on the quest for a tablet that was somehow the key to the bondage. Having grown arrogant due to her talents and abilities, she approached the task with complete confidence that she would succeed. She managed to get the locked pedestal holding the tablet to appear in a space-time bubble in Cavern. After traveling to various ages to locate 4 controlling minor tablets, she seized the master tablet and attempted to use it. However, she did so selfishly and was found to be unworthy. She lost her ability to touch the tablet. It would seem that there was some kind of safeguard condition on its use. The person who unlocked it could not use it on their own behalf. It had to be willingly given to another to use. It became intangible to her and returned to its pedestal. Yisha became equally angry and repentant after her failure to unlock the tablet. It taught her in no uncertain terms that she was not as great as she'd come to believe. Even as she raged about it one day, on others she took the loss more humbly. This is reflected in one of the speeches she recorded to be played in the Barrow cave in the ceiling of Radenna Cavern. But even in this moment of brutal honesty, she had to throw in the claim that the Denise shared her failings on a grander scale. Hang on just a second, and I'll play you that clip.
Real quick, Caver pointed out that there is a difference between linking books and descriptive books. You agree with that, right?
Oh, it's an absolute fact. The descriptive book is the book that is written to define the age and establish the first link to it. Once the age exists, you can then go there to any particular spot that you want to link in, and you can write a more simple description of that location, and a link will be formed to that spot. So a linking book and a descriptive book are two completely different animals. And if you destroy a linking book, all you do is you break the link to that one spot. If you destroy the descriptive book, you destroy the link to that age. In any case, here's the speech that I just spoke about.
Peace to you, mover of the least. 7 more journeys have moved you closer. I was seduced while in Denis. My humble darkness lasted only a short time before I began to bask in what I could do, what I could write. My gift, my path, the knowledge of my father and the dreams of my mother pierced a hole in the darkness, in the weakness. I was aware of my power and I was proud. Whole worlds at my fingertips. It was the same with the Denis, the same cycle. Light opens the darkness, it takes, it uses, and it keeps. The Denis found power in these books you used to travel. They were a gift from the Maker. These ages you traveled to were their ages. Remarkable places giving life and taking life. This shadow came over them, this shadow of light, for it was in their enlightenment that they considered themselves better than the least. And we were sad for them. Can you feel the Denis there? You've touched the remnants, the remains of their pride and power.
Okay. Did everyone hear that, just to be certain? Okay. Thank you. After her failure, the quest to control the tablet became known to a Denis survivor named Escher, who also believed that he was the grower. He, in his turn, tried to gain control of the tablet, but like Yisha, he failed to gain mastery of it because his attempt was entirely selfish. Yisha and Escher both mentioned that many people had tried the quest with equally poor results, although it's not said whether those people preceded or followed them. Unable to use the tablet, Yisha created a plan in which individual Barrow would draw people to the cavern as a vehicle for their liberation. To this end, she gathered a number of Denis descriptive books and modified them. She then had her Barrow followers place special journey cloths and linking stones in them, along with a number of pictographs and carvings. Her plan was semi-successful. Each person who completed her Path of the Hand quest set an individual Barrow free from its slavery. However, this was not enough. Not everyone who was called responded, and not all who responded completed the quest she had created. She became enraged by the length of time it was taking for the Barrow as a whole to be freed. A second chance for Yesha came in 2005 when Dr. Richard A. Watson, who had finally decided to follow her footsteps in an effort to truly understand Denis, went after the Master Tablet. Having finally learned to distrust her own motives, Yesha gave him no help beside a cryptic initial speech and her notebooks and recordings scattered in the great shaft. When he succeeded in completing the quest and gave the tablet to the Barrow instead of trying to keep it for himself, Yesha considered her burden lifted. She then went to Relishan, where she was reunited with her father. As of 2007, she was still alive and working with the freed Barrow. And that's it for what I have for her history. Do we have any other any questions or anything like that popped up while I was reading?
Caver points out, so there can be many linking books to a given age, so that's true.
Yes. And there can also be many copies of that linking book.
Okay. So there could be the same link to the same place in two different ages then.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though we don't see it here in the
Actually,
cavern.
you do.
Oh, remember
What's
an example?
Remember when we visited the DRC office in Tokata 1?
Yes,
the conference room?
Yeah.
All of those linking books that were opened around the place were the same linking books to Teledon.
Oh, yes. I mean, they weren't functional in game, but yes, they were physically present in the game.
That is correct.
Good example.
And also the fact that we have, each one of us, an entire library of linking books to the same places.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Mm. That's not Yesha. That is the ability of linking books to have many copies.
Okay. I'm looking at Twitch chat, and Bun is asking, where's Yesha now?
Yeah, we don't really know that, and I haven't asked Dr. Watson. She's basically one of the last things that she did, she came back from Relishan to the Cavern and began working with the freed Barrow, trying to give them a little guidance on what they should do with themselves now that they were no longer beholden to the tablet. This caused a rift in their society. Some of the Barrow felt extremely vengeful about being bound to the Denis caverns, and blamed pretty much all of humanity, not just the Denis, for them having been imprisoned. The Yesha got together a group of Barrow opposed to them, and those Barrow basically decided that they would try to protect explorers from the actions of the vengeful Denis, or Barrow, excuse me. And so and that was the beginning of what's known as the Borrow War chapter in the game history.
And just to clarify for those who might not know this, when you refer that you spoke to Dr. Watson, who you literally mean is Richard A. Watson, Rawa, who's a long-term Cyan employee who created a large part of the Myst series.
Correct. But
Dr. Watson is his in-game character, correct?
Not really. But Richard A. Watson, the Cyan employee, was their official historian for a very long, while he was still working with them. He's pretty much retired now because of a brain tumor he suffered. But when I say I spoke with Dr. Watson, what I mean is that I spoke to Richard A. Watson wearing his Dr. Watson hat.
Okay, gotcha. I just wanted to clarify that for some who might be a little like, Dr. Watson? Who's this Dr. Watson guy? Isn't he a character?
And he is. And he was actually played by a number of different people. But depends on who had an interest in a particular storyline or was available at the time. However, as the Denis historian, Dr. Watson and Richard Watson are the same people.
Thank you.
Okay. And then let's go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Bun Bun had another question now. Where are the Borrow originally from? Are they aliens? And the answer is yes. They are from another age called the Spiral Age, and we will be doing a tour of that in the future. So so hold any other questions on the Borrow for now, because of that, we're going to be going into them later. Okay, now Yisha's abilities. Other than the abilities she gained by her interest in Serenian culture, such as being able to interdream and re-experiencing memories, Yisha also showed great talent in the art. She studied under her father and mother until she was 17, and then left home. After learning from Callum and the Borrow, Yisha is known to have altered linking books in ways that defied traditional Denis linking technology. For example, she wrote linking books that linked users to other places in the same age, which is to say Relto, and she was also able to alter many of the ages explorers can currently link to, adding portals, puzzles, linking books, borrow stones, and her monogram to them. She was also able to alter many of the ages explorers can currently link to, or excuse me, I just read that. That was something that the Denis could not do, because altering a linking book using their skills would result in either the link being switched to a different instance of that world, or the link being lost entirely. For that reason, the Denis had a prohibition against trying to alter a linking book. She learned to use the Borrow ability to link wherever she wished without books, and to create and manipulate objects and conditions within ages. It has been theorized that this ability is related to the facial markings she is seen with in recordings. And let's go to the window. Okay. This is Yisha's facial marking as seen in the during the majority of the game that I'm just putting up on the stream window. Anytime now, I got software. Did I? Oh, I forgot to turn on the window. That would be nice. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to switch over to her facial marking as it was shown in Myst 5. The markings are not tattoos, as they have been observed to change over the years. Instead, they may be drawn on her using the same type of ink used in linking and descriptive books. Ainea, another talented fan archaeologist, has mentioned that Richard Watson once stated that the Barra were not born with the ability to link. Which is something I have confirmed. Instead, they gain it from markings on their hides using their own version of the art. So the two pictures, the first one was the marking that she was wearing basically during the time when she was calling explorers to the cavern. I'll switch back to that. Yisha had shaved parts of her hair for the first set of markings, but later she reduced the size and let the hair grow back out. Now, the funny thing that you may notice between the two pictures is that if you look at it closely, you will see that the marking is actually her monogram, which set with her name on it. Basically, it's been drawn on her face. One of the funny things about Yisha is that she is known to have a great talent in writing. But the thing is that there's only one age that we know that she wrote from scratch, that being Relto. She also wrote a linking book to the cleft and an instance of the cleft in which it is raining, but it's doubtful that she wrote the descriptive book for them. Her father, Atris, had already written linking books to Tamana before she was even born, so a descriptive book for the region. So basically, the fact that the age existed meant that linking books could be written anywhere. We had a recent discussion with Dr. Watson about linking, and he confirms that once an age is written on a world, the ability to write linking books affects the entire world, not just the area that the age was written as. So you can, the fact that the age of the Denis age is the caverns, a set of caverns under the New Mexican desert. Even though that's true, you can write a linking book to anywhere on the entire Earth if you had a mind to and knew how. In any case, most of Yisha's known work involves her ability to alter existing ages seemingly at will, a feat that the Denis would have struggled to accomplish and was prohibited under normal circumstances. Of course, okay. And anyway, let's go on to the next subject. Was Yisha the grower? Let's close that and that. Whether or not Yisha was actually the grower is a fairly confused issue. First, it should be said that prophecy, especially popular prophecy, is often empty. It is wise to be skeptical of anyone who claims to see the future. Words, the book of prophecy written by the Watcher, is especially suspect because many people wanted to be the grower mentioned in his text. Those people used the art to mimic the signs mentioned in words to try to prove that they were the person the Watcher foretold. Kadish was the last full-blooded Dini to try, and Yisha knew of him and admired his efforts. Yisha herself also used her skill to show that she could fulfill the prophecy at times, but in the end, that does not make what the Watcher wrote true. It simply means that people attempted to make it true. That said, if we look at the words of the Watcher, Yisha came closest of anyone to matching what was written. While Escher wanted to be the grower, he was not a writer and never tried to show any of the signs mentioned in the prophecy other than the ability to link at will, which he mimicked by flaying the skin off of a Baro who was still alive and using that to link with. Doubt remains about Yisha because while she accomplished a number of signs and portents, there are also a number of things she didn't do. Here are this, and I'm going to read you some quotes lifted from words, and then I'll explain how they apply. We'll see if you can agree with my points. Words said, "The door lies at the end of the path. Who will gather? Many. Who will finish? Few." That passage seems to predict the calling of the gathered, which is how words referred to explorers tempted to come to the cavern by Yisha's Baro. It would seem that not very many of the gathered were expected to complete the quests. And that's, of course, assuming that does refer, of course, to the Baro quest. More specific passage that a lot of people who tried to be the grower would use to try to prove that they went like this. The grower will take time. The grower will bring light. The grower will have ages. Take time and move it to and fro. Bring light and give it to the dark places. Have ages and link to them without bindings. Kadish was one of the ones who tried to fulfill those lines. Anone was an elaborate deception trying to convince people that he could travel to the past, present, and future of their homeworld Garterne. He also tried to bring light, and that was why he had the whole project going on with the pellets that he was making in my mind's going blank on the name of that age. Oh goodness. Anyway, the granary age that he had a factory in. That whole thing was because he was trying to bring light to the cavern by renewing the luminescent algae in the lake. The grower will have ages. He was a writer, so he did have quite a few of those he'd written. In any case, Yisha seems to have met all of the points listed, at least to some measure. The points in doubt are the second and fourth lines. She once demonstrated that she could light up the cavern, but then she took that light away immediately afterward. Whether or not it's because she couldn't or wouldn't sustain it, I can't say. What other dark places she might have brought light to are unknown to me. The third line, which is having ages, is also somewhat doubtful. As I mentioned before, the only two books I know that she wrote were Relto and The Cleft. For all the others, she modified existing ages. The next quote from the book is, "Knowing the least is the path of wisdom. In cages they weep, time and again. But without their tears, truth remains hidden." That appears to be a reference to the Barrow, although it's uncertain. Yisha called them the least in her speeches and notes, but that just may be a case of her borrowing the term from words. She frequently quoted words in her notes and speeches. Whether or not she is using the term as intended can only be guessed. The line about cages is a point against it being about the Barrow. The only cage that we know ever actually held a Barrow was the one in Escher's laboratory, and he kept the Barrow inside it by flaying its skin off to remove the tattoos that allowed it to link. Otherwise, the idea of keeping a Barrow in a cage only applies if the Barrow's willing, because they can link at will. The next quote, "What will grow? The tree of all things. Who will grow it? The grower." That passage apparently tells about what the grower is supposed to have as his or her main objective, to quote-unquote grow the great tree. If so, then Yisha positively fails that test, because she didn't write many new ages. Her father, Atris, is a much better candidate for fulfilling that prophecy. He wrote dozens of new ages. The next quote, "Books will be your stronghold, and then you will die. The destroyer will cut down this great tree of wickedness. Another place will be their refuge, another place will be their home. Dance and celebrate, for the tree grows again." That passage seems to be a reference to the Denis survivors of the fall and their relocation to Relishan. That cannot be credited to Yisha at all, since Relishan was written by Atris and the survivors moved there before she was born. Next, "When the tree dies, there will be a new one, a grower to learn of the death, a grower to see new life, a grower to bring the gathered, a grower to restore the least, a grower to move through time, a grower to link at will, a grower to follow the shell, a grower to banish the darkness, a grower to graft the branches, a grower to join the paths." Again, we have mixed results from that. Yisha accomplished several of the signs, but failed miserably in others. Yisha did not see new life. She left Denis to rot. She did not restore the least, if the least are indeed the Barrow. Dr. Watson was the one who gave him their freedom. Since we have no idea what the path of the shell the Watcher referred to was, there's no way of knowing if Yisha completed that task. We only know of the path of the shell created by Kadish, who undoubtedly got the idea from the book. The last 3 points are either undecided or definite fails. Yisha never made any attempt to graft branches or join paths. She left that to her father, who searched for and reunited the survivors of the fall. As for the gathered, she actively encouraged divisiveness among them, advocating the taking of sides, while her prompting them to take her side naturally. That, of course, is not grafting or joining anything. Okay. Next is a desert bird knows where to wait and watch. A desert bird knows when the storm will come. A desert bird knows where water will flow. A desert bird knows when the tree will grow. Desert Bird was the nickname that Atris gave to Yisha, and she honors it by wearing a Roadrunner emblem on her clothing. The doubts about this section and Yisha comes from my lack of knowing whether or not Atris ever read words, although it's likely he did because he knew about the prophecy of the grower when Dr. Watson met him in Relishon. He might have used Desert Bird as a nickname for Yisha because he read it in words, or it could be that words predicted the nickname. I, for one, do not know. Next, learn from the least, for their burden is great. A bird from the desert will build a nest in the tree. Yisha, of course, did learn a great deal of her near-miraculous techniques from the Barrow, and lived in various places in Denis, so this may be 2 points in her favor. Next, do not fear the wound. It is a way of peace in a time of need, a place of patience, a place of stone. The gathered are known by their faces of stone. A place to fall, a place to be raised. The gathered will fall into the wound. That appears to be a reference to the Starfisher and the fact that the gathered would have encounters with it. Most of the lines, however, remain uninterpreted. Next, do not put out the least, for they will save you. The gathered will tell of the path of the shell. The bound will know the path of the stone. Words are many, but action is what is desired. The gathered will find rest when the light comes. That passage seems to refer to at least 2 events that never happened. The path of the stone is not one of the quests Yisha set before the gathered, unless you count the quest for the Barrow tablet, and that was never called the Path of the Stone. There has not been a time when light came, except for the brief moment when Yisha caused one of the caverns to light up. That makes both of these events doubtful at best. And finally, under the sun is the bringer of destruction. To the wound, the bringer of pride returns. But the son of the sun will carry the burden, and his wife will face the storm. Give him a pen, and he will plan. Give her a pen, and she will dream. And a daughter will carry the burden of her father, and the daughter of the daughter will live in peace. This passage seems to refer to Anna, Gin, Atris, and Katrin in the first 4 lines. If so, the 7th line would have to be Yisha. However, the last line would have to be a daughter of Yisha's, and it's almost certain that she never had any children. Thus, these lines may be doubtful at best. When I say that, when I talk about the characters, Anna is considered to be the bringer of destruction of the because she was involved in the fall of Denis. Gin is probably considered the bringer of pride, if so. Of course, that kind of trashes the rest of it. The son of the sun will carry the burden, that's Atris. His wife will face the storm, that's Catherine. And of course, give him a pin is Atris, give her a pin is Catherine. And then the daughter will carry the burden of her father is Yisha, because he put an awful lot of weight on her, that poor girl's back when she was young. In any case, the only thing that is certain is that this is a complex and uncertain topic, so I'll leave it for you to decide whether or not Yesha was the grower. My belief is that the prophecy of the grower is a myth that led many people to ruin when they tried to be that person. Many people went out of their ways to try to fulfill the conditions, and none fulfilled them naturally or fully. Urkana, that's the age, yes. See, I don't know why my mind went blank on it. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is Yesha's notebooks, but before I move on to that, do I have any questions?
Let's see, there's none in Hood Chat.
Actually, I see a couple of things there, from earlier. Let's see, where's yours?
Oh yeah, more questions from Bun Bun.
Yeah. What cracks me up in Serena is the butterflies need to feed. Okay. So you could write a linking book to link inside a bank's vault and then link out before you get caught. In order to write a linking book, you have to be in that location physically yourself writing the book, and that takes a little while because you have to write a description of everything that's around you. It's much more limited than writing an age, but it still takes time. So if you can convince a bank to let you sit in their vault for a extended length of time, creating a back door to it, then yes, you could. Okay, anyway, so let's move on to the next section. I want to, oops, bring up my browser. Okay. Yesha's notebooks were basically selections from her personal journal that she left in the Great Shaft as clues for Dr. Watson because she didn't want to tell him directly what she wanted him to do. She wanted him to figure everything out for himself. Yesha drew a number of sketches inside the notebooks and drew sketches of events she considered important on their covers. The journals were left along the path through the Great Shaft deliberately, and yet Yesha introduced them with this message.
These pages are my journey, my story, my path. They're not meant to cover up, but to reveal. Sometimes in poems, sometimes in story, sometimes clear, sometimes vague, sometimes long, sometimes brief. But the release of these words is a soothing elixir to my burdened soul. The words must flow from me, or I will die. And in the end, these words are crumbs that spill along my path, and whoever eats these crumbs will know more of me.
Okay. Now, in the streaming window, I'm putting up the cover from one of her journals, the first one. This is a sketch of Myst Island when Tiana, Atris, and Catherine arrived. The book is the box is to show that Cirrus and Achenar were born there. And what she wrote was,
I am finding where I am by understanding where I was. And everything I was is linked to the island of Myst, the refuge. And I must know where they were as well. my heritage, my people, my family. My father, the prisoner of the hidden and the revealed, raised by Tiana, who hid the truth, then raised by Gen, who revealed the truth, but Tiana hid for love, and Gen revealed for power. Mother, too, nothing more than a slave to what she knew and what she felt, taught by Gen to write what she knew, then taught by Tiana to write what she felt. But Gen's teachings imprisoned her, and Tiana's teachings freed her. And in the end, through the hidden and revealed, through the known and the felt, through the good and the evil, through the gods and the devils, they came together. Together they came, father floating and mother caring, father knowing and mother feeling. And my great-grandmother Tiana watched, and my grandfather Gen fell. And so began our path of pain. Tiana was called the Destroyer, but she brought them together and lived with them on Myst Island. Father could not keep Myst simple. New structures and new ages he brought. Mother could not keep Myst solitary. 2 new sons she brought, my brothers, Cirrus and Achenar. And they grew up strong and hungry and lustful, like their grandfather Gen, unable to control the power of books, the power of writing ages. And as a result, all became prisoners, prisoners in their refuge. I will never return to that place.
Okay. I need to take a quick break, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay. The next sketch that I have up is a sketch of Myst Island when Tiana, Atris, and Catherine or excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong script. I'm sorry. The next sketch shows the island with many of the structures in place. Tiana has died by this point, and Cirrus and Achenar are growing boys. And this is what Yesha wrote in this book.
Pride is a thief. Pride stole the soul of the Denis people. Pride stole my own brothers. The temptation was too great. It is not the power, but the desire for power that destroys. That desire is in my blood, the blood of my ancestors, the blood of my flesh. I fight it, but I am pulled even now. My father tried to hide what he valued, his books and ages, while my brothers tried to hide what they valued, riches and power. Father was trusting or naive, and ages and people were destroyed. And so my family was imprisoned. My brothers in ages written by father. Father in a Denis prison he had escaped from in childhood. And mother in the world she loved and feared the most. Riven, her home, her refuge. Perhaps it's why I now fear my home, my refuge. And then by the maker or by the roll, a stranger found the book. The book had been intended to be destroyed by fire, but by the maker or by the roll it was taken far away. The book was preserved until it was time. Surely it was the maker who preserved the book that would bring help. Now it was time. A stranger found the book, came to the island and freed Father. A lesson was learned. A friendship was forged. Friendship. The least are my friends. I must use the least wisely. I must listen to them and respect them. They are powerful, they are willing, and they are afraid.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. The third picture, or the third notebook, I should say, shows a sketch to show that Atris and Catherine met in Riven. The arrival hut and the starfisher are shown beside them.
The stranger, the friend, returned again to help Father save Mother. Imagine, a stranger, traveling to Riven, risking all, asking for nothing. I think of humility, thinking more of others. Humility. Prisoners are freed by nothing more and nothing less. Again, my grandfather, my heritage. Ugh. That monster who thought himself a god was once again imprisoned. Perhaps he still rules that desolate, empty, and dead place, riven by the pride and bitterness of his own heart. But more likely, he is in another desolate, empty, dead place where there is weeping. I hope he is miserable. I cannot forgive him for what he did. It eats at my heart. I hate him because I have his same desires. Mother and Father came again together to the refuge, to Myst Island. But it was only a shell, a place to exist, a fallen place torn apart by pride, just as the great Denis city was. Just as I am. Torn. What is a stranger? Someone who is not me? Yet sometimes I feel like a stranger to myself. I become two, one who I know and one who I do not. Where does this other one come from? Which one is me?
Yisha's fourth journal. The sketch shows an expedition in which Atris leads the Denis survivors he was able to locate in various ages back to the Denis caverns. They collect the bodies of the dead for burial and made an attempt to rebuild. In the end, the task proved too difficult and costly, and Atris began seeking other solutions.
I am sick of the grower. Oh yes, some believe in prophecies that predict the restoration of Denis. The fallen city of Denis would grow. There were attempts before, and there will be attempts again. They always fail. Even those led by my father tried. They learned great things of the maid and the maker. They learned of the barrow, of the least, and of deeper truths. They learned of Father and his wisdom in rebuilding and rewriting. The Denis city came alive again for a time. The dead were properly buried and the living were properly cared for. Denis took short, labored breaths. Sap flowed, though the tree did not grow, for there was no grower. Even Father did not see then as I do now. The grower had not come. I had not come. I am the grower. I failed. And I think of myself as worthy? I am nothing. The failed child of failed parents, of failed grandparents. How many generations must fail before we give up? Why do I try? I have failed with the tablet already. There are no second chances here. And yet I long to hold it and try once more.
Yisha's fifth journal was about Tomana and Savidro. The sketch on it shows Atris and Catherine leaving Myst Island behind. They built a new home in a desert canyon near the cleft, which they called Tomana, which means home in Dini. Yisha was born there.
Tomana, my home, the place where I was, the place where I began. I was a spark of joy to mother and father after their fire was almost quenched. And yet what joy could we have had if my brothers had been there as well? Still torn. Father and mother loved and shared with me their desert bird. Father shared wisdom and knowledge, and mother shared visions and dreams. When did they come to know my destiny? Surely not from birth. As I look back, they knew so much, they saw so clearly. They planted and watered so that I would learn how to do the same. I would not realize it until long after I was to see them no longer. Am I the grower because they taught me? Or did they teach me because I am the grower? Torn. But peace was not yet with us. From the past an enemy came seeking revenge, but there was help for a third time. Without help, where would we be? Would there be a grower? Would there be a seed to grow? It's all been so fragile. But it must be by the Maker I am here, and there is meaning. Or it may be by the role I am here, and there is no meaning.
Yisha's sixth journal was about Cirrus and Akinar. The sketch shows Yisha growing older and meeting Cirrus and Akinar in their prison ages, Spire and Haven.
I was very young when I first felt strong. Indeed, I was young, but I thought I understood. I had many abilities, even then, but little wisdom. Better to have fewer abilities and much wisdom. I knew I was doing something great for us, but what I did was foolish for me. I thought I was reuniting our family, bringing back what joy we once had. I almost brought an end to life. Yet again, it was a friend who came to our aid. Now, I think that most things cannot be returned to how they were. My brothers were not to be released, but the Maker turned my poor choice to some small good, and Aknar was redeemed. My tears flow as I write these memories, the suffering and pain I have caused and endured, and yet I am thankful. I will be powerful like the Barrow. I long to be so strong. They will sing a song of thankfulness. They will sing a song without regard to their circumstances. They will stand and take time to sing to the Maker with hearts of joy. If only I could have such a heart.
Yisha's seventh journal was about her journey. After being betrayed by Cirrus, teenaged Yisha left Tomana. She eventually settled in the cleft for a time.
Alone. There is a powerful conjunction between the in and the out, the beneath and the above. A wound, a mouth, a well, a pit. I wanted to make the journey for myself from where the Denis dug upward, where they almost came to the surface, from the place where Tiana first climbed downward and where Father followed evil into the ground. I began my journey with a heavy burden. It was Tiana who came to Denis and caused its fall. I am from her. I feel I am destined to bring another destruction. Father and Mother tried to prepare me, tried to tell me who they thought I was. I still see the power of each. I have the best of each, and the burden of each. And as they watched me leave, I saw the sadness and the fear. But more terrifying, I saw their hope. And I left my comfort to find me. And even as I took my first step away from Tomana, my shoulders ached for the burden I bore. Deep prophecies and weighty destinies. So much to learn and understand about myself. My father said we can never understand, we can only understand more. The more I understood, the more powerful I became, and the more dangerous I became, and the less I understood.
Isha's 8th journal was about her time after she descended to Denis and met Callum. And the sketch shows Yisha traveling down to Denis, where she meets Callum on Agra Island. Sorry about the phone.
Home was far behind. I was no longer a child. I journeyed deep within myself, deep within the earth, down to the Denis Cavern. I was alone for a time as I consumed my heritage, breathing deep the air of the cavern and the knowledge of my people. But the desire for companionship drove me mad. I engaged a Cenomar as my confidant, and a treadfish in the harbor became my younger brother. I spoke to them as family, and they answered. I swear, they answered. Then my mind took a final step into madness when I walked into the library on Agura and saw an old Denis man on the floor below me. Now I was imagining people to ease my loneliness. But he was no mirage. His name was Callum, and he was a Denis writer of ages. Trust did not come easily. There was conflict between us, between his ancient rules of Denis that I did not respect, and my creativity, which he feared. We fought and feared and battled and screamed until exhausted. We began to learn from each other. We learned of the power of both, just as Father and Mother had done. So I learned to write with all the skills that the Denis had known, beyond what my parents had taught me, for their lessons were given by a flawed instructor and by their own trial and error. I learned to write from a master, an opportunity Father was never given. Callum's abilities were breathtaking. He knew all the Denis knew when Denis fell. But I taught as well as learned. There were things that the Denis were forbidden to write, words they feared, concepts they shunned, rules and boxes. I had no cultural fear of such things, so I dug deeper, asking questions that Callum could not answer, and together we sought answers. That is how we learned of the barrow and the tablet. I learned of its power. We grew in knowledge and strength, and Callum became one of my dearest friends. I began to think that it was he who would be the grower. But evil will find you, even in the depths of the earth, and Callum was murdered.
Yisha's 9th journal was about Callum's death and about her quest to seize the tablet. The sketch on the cover shows, after Callum dying, Yisha decided that freeing the barrow from servitude should be her life's work. She learned much about their art from them.
Power is a gift. Power is a curse. I learned of the fearsome power I wield on that day. The day of Callum's death. In a fit of rage, I destroyed the murderer, and I destroyed my innocence. And again, I learned that most things cannot be returned to how they were. And my power continued to grow even as I began to see that the prophecies of the grower might speak of me. My destiny began to be fulfilled. But there was still more. The least, abused, mistreated, misunderstood, ignored. They were mocked and scorned, and their hearts still show their pain. But they continue to serve. Such power they have, and yet they serve. They treated me with kindness, and I learned from them. They respected what I was becoming. With them, I learned new laws, new rules, and new powers. I used the powers to care for a tree to come, and the tablet allowed me to grow beyond Tiana, beyond father and mother, beyond Denis, beyond Callum. The tablet held them. The tablet chained them. The tablet held me. The tablet empowered me. I watched with them. I waited with them. I learned with them. I called them from captivity and grew while they gathered. Together we became both weak and strong. And then my time came. My time to take the tablet. My time to choose. I was ready. I felt the pull of holding it, of channeling and releasing the full power of the Barrow. I would right the wrongs. I would set things the way they should be. I would choose well. I could not fail. I am the grower. I was so sure, so strong, so wise. But I didn't open myself and listen to the Maker. The noise of me drowned his quiet voice. And I failed to see anything beyond myself and what was obvious. And pain came quickly when I realized what I had done. The tablet returned and the Barrow continued to serve. The pain still burns me, but the powerful Barrows simply wait and serve. Pain is often how we learn, but it is not for us to give. We are not the teachers. We must not abuse them. We must not abuse the Barrow.
I'm going to pause for just a moment so that I can take a look at if there's any comments. I don't want to reveal too much regarding Myst 4 Revelation, but Yisha could not have known her brothers when she was an adult. No, she was about, I believe, 8 or 9 years old at that time. And that's the only comment so far. Okay. Getting back to the subject. Isha's 10th journal is about the calling of the gathered to Uru. The sketch shows Yisha decides to have the Barrow call normal people to Denis, where she has set up a quest that leads them to free individual Barrow, one per explorer.
How could I have not seen the true path? I see it now so clearly. But can I get another chance to make things right? They came to Denis, those who felt called. I knew they would. I was prepared for them, and I pointed the way. I spoke often of the pride of Denis, of their belief in their own power and strength, and the reason that Denis once fell. And a few understand, and they begin to follow me. I am the grower. I would lead them to rebuild. Yet another burden. But what is the task of a grower? My father wrote Another Age, but I see that the tree is not a place, but a people. The heart of a people. That is what must grow. If only I had another chance to make things right. The tablet is the key. How could I have failed?
Yisha's 11th journal goes on to expand on the tablet. The sketch shows Yisha and Escher, who contended over who would control the tablet and who would be considered the grower.
I know what to do. I see it so clearly. One more chance to determine the destiny of the tablet. I can feel it. To be so close and yet so powerless, it drives me mad. The tablet sits there, holding the power of the Barrow captive, and I alone know what to do. I failed once, but what does that mean? Why am I punished when I could accomplish so much? The rules seem so arbitrary, some game of the Maker that only he understands. This legacy of failure. And now I see this final chance to right generations of wrong, to unleash the power that has been held for thousands of years. It is at my fingertips. I know what must be done, but I cannot speak of it for fear that it would somehow break the rules, tarnish the heart, taint the act, soil the innocence. I had a dream. I am carrying the seed of Denis, the seed of all things that are Denis, through a small cave. And I come to a place where the path stops, and there are 2 holes, one above me and one below me. And through the hole below I can see the Denis Cavern in the great city. And through the hole above I can see the sky and sun. A voice calls to me, "In which hole will you plant the seed?" And I know it is easy to drop the seed in the hole below, and I know it is impossible to throw the seed through the hole above. I call out to the voice asking for wisdom, and the voice answers me, "Do not drop the seed in the hole below, for that is easy. But that is the way of the past. Do not throw the seed in the hole above, for that is difficult, and that is the task for another. In which hole will you plant the seed?" And I know what to do. And I know I am the grower.
And that was a very deep look at what Yisha thought of herself, which I don't know how many of you have actually read the journals when you played the game, but she talks an awful lot about herself, and she's actually often quite honest about her failings.
And you're referring to the journals in
Myst
Myst
5, yes.
In Myst 5, yeah, where you pick up. I think you pick up the pages as you progress, and you end up with a full notebook, right?
Actually, it's divided up into a series of notebooks, each of which has those pictures on their covers.
Oh, right. Yeah, you pick up a series of notebooks though as you progress through the
That's
age,
correct.
and so you gotta make sure you find them all.
Okay.
I think the first one's next to a lamp. I think.
It's actually when you go down into the Denis cave, you find it. You start finding them in the corridor that goes between a rest area and the shaft. There's 3 or 4 of them, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's sitting next to, I think, a lantern or something.
Mm-hmm. In any case, while Yisha left the notebooks in the Great Shaft, specifically to try and influence Dr. Watson as he was following the quest, she also left a couple of viewer recordings. And those were not actually something that she really had intended for Dr. Watson to see. When he found the viewers in the shaft, Yisha had been recording short messages on them just to vent. She was not. She was usually upset when she made those recordings. In the first Edertoman, or rest area, up at the top, Yisha speaks of how she has come to hate Dani culture and herself for being descended from them in general, and Gen in particular. And this is what she said in that recording.
Oh! How could this be? On their backs, this fallen empire was built. What hypocrisy. Such abuse of power. I think they even deluded themselves into believing their own lies. It pains me to the point of ill. It makes me pleased that they are dead. What hate is in me.
And again, that was a bit more than a bit of projection. She was upset, and she chose to blame all of her own failings on the Dani as people, because that was easier for her than trying to face the truth of things. Yisha's viewer recording in the third Edertoman was about the explorers that were called to the cavern. Yisha was extremely frustrated at the speed at which the Bauer were being freed by explorers, and recorded this.
What will I become? I will make something more of me. I will rebuild what I am. Is there anyone who is master over me? Have I not become the grower? The grower. Yet all I grow is anger. Watching them call, watching them fail, waiting and watching. I am the grower. How can I wait much longer on such fools?
Which is a not very nice way of describe when you call the explorers that you're calling to the cavern fools. Yisha's viewer recording in the fourth Edertoman was about her perceived burdens. She spoke about the burdens she believes have been placed on her shoulders without her being willing or knowledgeable about it.
What am I left with? Why did he leave this weight on me? Did I ask for this? Did I ask to lose my brothers? Did I ask to cause the death of Callum? Did I ask to watch my mother die? Did I ask to be my father's tool? Did I ask for so much power? Did I ask to be so alone? Father, I wish you could hold me.
And that is the end of today's lecture. I don't have anything more I believe I can say.
Wow, that is a lot of added content. Thank you so much, Larry.
No
Holy
problem.
smokes. That's a lot of research. And I've asked you before, like, how much time you spent researching all this stuff, and I don't think you were able to come up with a number.
No, I can't.
But you know what? It counts probably for your gray hairs, though. Yeah, I mean, you're only 25, right? Wink, wink.
25 and holding, yes.
Yes, 25 again. I've been 30, like 35 times. But anyway, I digress. Are there any questions for Larry? Any stump Larry questions? We have 16 minutes to stump Larry with any question you want to ask him. In the meantime, does anyone know, in light of Arte being out of town, does he intend to hold his story night this afternoon or this evening?
They are still on the schedule, but I wouldn't trust that. So
Yeah. So if you're interested in Arte's story night, I guess attend with caution at 1400 key time and or 2330 key time in Stano's Hood. I guess karaoke is still going on at 1600 key time.
yeah, that one is so reliable you can practically set the calendar by it.
Okay, good. And that's in the New Messengers pub.
Correct. If you look at, for those of you who aren't noticing, if you look at the stream window, I have a list of today's events up.
Yes, and actually that's what I'm reading from. Thank you, Larry. Oh, Arte said he should be there tonight. ... Maybe. That's just like Arte to be somewhat mysterious. Thank you, Shiloh, and everyone for coming. We really appreciate all your repeat attendance. And of course, we appreciate Larry. Murphac, I think, is still listening. Let me see if he's still in Skype. Is Murphac still in? Yeah, he is. Everyone say hi to Murphac. Wish him a Merry Christmas, please. He's our, he does so much for us, even though Larry let him off the hook today. It's going to be a very, very busy January. I'm not going to tell you where we're touring in January, but Murphac's going to have his work cut out for him. So he's going to need the 2 months rest.
Oh yeah, I know.
For sure. I sent you all the schedule. We like to keep things a secret. So
Well, it is the age of secrets, anyways.
exactly. So any last comments from anybody before we adjourn?
Also, I don't know if it's been mentioned. Don't if you like what we do and you want to keep seeing these tours each and every year, consider donating to the CavCon so that we can keep our lights on and that we can keep giving you these tours with even more history.
Good point. Good point. All right, guys. Say night night or day. We'll see you in a couple months. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy
Yeah.
holidays in
Yeah.
general.
Merry Christmas,
And we'll literally
Happy
see you
New
next year.
and whatever else you may celebrate. Have a good time at it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something. Stump Larry from Kitty Renee. If the ending
There we
of
go.
if the ending
I can always count on Kitty.
Yeah.
Sorry, Larry.
If the ending of Revelation was accurate, how could Yisha have re-met her brothers as an adult? Oh, she didn't. They were dead. They died when she was 8 years old. So,
See? You can't stump him. You have 2 months to stump him. Okay?
Yeah.
2 months. No excuses.
see, at the end of
Yeah.
at the end of Revelation, what happened is that the Barrow linked Dr. Watson to Relishon, where he landed on the Lincoln platform there, which was up on the top of a very tall hillside or mountainside. And then what Yisha joined him there, and when after she arrived, several Denis arrived escorting Atris, who was very old at that point and not very steady on his feet. So that's there was never any sign of Akinar or Cirrus. You read a drawing. Okay. Yeah, there was never any sign of Cirrus or Akinar in that game. Putro says if she could travel time for real, she could have met them at any time. The thing about that is that I suspect that she has some severe limitations. The Barrow, we know from the time on Todelmer, the observatory world, could make time accelerate forward and backward. In fact, we see that a couple of times throughout the game. But the only time that we know of her traveling through time was supposedly to go back to rescue Kadish. However, if you know from the game, when you first go to Kadish Talessa, Kadish is lying there stone dead on the floor of his vault. It was in an alternate reality that Isha was able to go back and supposedly rescue him, which is why we have the other vault, which is mostly empty. Therefore, the idea that Isha could go back in our reality to meet up with her brothers as an adult is not very likely. Yisha is a good used car salesman. Oh, Earl wants to know how we get to the Barrow age. There isn't. All we have of that are sketches and a few of rough models that they were putting together, trying to get a feel for how they were going to build it. During the tours, we'll be visiting a number of places that didn't actually exist in the game. Say, one of my favorites, of course, is when we go to the Age of Kalob, which is where they had the racing game. Say, that one was actually built as a concept model, and so I can actually fly around in it and show you things. Let's see. As for Yisha as a good used car salesman, I think she's a bit heavy-handed on the way she spends things. Let's see.
Yeah, she was very angry in Myst 5, and she was also angry in Mula.
Okay, looking at back at the stream chat, Kitty Renee, I thought you had described a drawing where she met them in their prison ages when she was an adult. No, that picture was of her meeting them when she was around 8 years old. When she first met Cirrus when she was 7, and then she met up with Akinar when she was 8. Okay. And then let's see, do we have any other questions before I shut down for day?
I already left the cavern.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see any.
Probably isn't, but before I do, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find that picture for Kitty Renee. Let's see.
Oh, I just had a thought. What is the likelihood that you would like post a special edition content in December that would not involve meeting in the cavern, obviously, but sometime like last season, you kind of used to surprise us with just special edition content that was Twitch only, had nothing to do with meeting in the cavern. Should people be looking for that by signing up for your Twitch notifications?
Well, it helps, but
that those things online?
those things are unplanned, and that means they are unplanned.
Right. Okay, so what's the likelihood of your spontaneity? I guess you can't answer that.
Nope.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay, this must be the picture that you were thinking of. This is when Yisha was 8 years old, living in Tomana with Atris and Catherine. And you'll notice that the pictures, there's two drawings of Cirrus and Akinar, and they're in a box to show that she visited them while they were in their prison ages.
Yeah, you can. Hmm.
Okay. And that, I think, is it for the day. So I am going to go ahead and end the stream. And I hope to see you all again come January.